I'm going to ask you to please rise. Please rise and welcome the John Marshall Junior ROTC, which will present the colors, and William Clarence Marshall III will lead the national anthem.
Good evening. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Can we please have another round of applause for the John Marshall Junior ROTC and William Clarence Marshall III. Please have a seat, everybody. That is what you call great pipes right there. Fantastic. Good evening. My name is Russ Mitchell. I am anchor and managing editor at WKYC Channel 3, and it is my pleasure to be here once again this evening as we induct more incredible people to the Cleveland International Hall of Fame. We're going to begin with some welcoming remarks from some people you know. I would like to welcome to the podium City Council President Blaine Griffin and Angela Shute Woodson, Community Relations Director for the City of Cleveland.
Good afternoon. Come on now, this is a great, august event. Good afternoon. How's everyone doing today? All right, great. Before I begin to make any remarks, we lost a giant in our community and one of the people who was Dan's other half to make this event possible and make it the great event it is today. I'm going to ask if we can take a moment of silence for our friend, Deb Hansen, who unfortunately passed away recently. If we could have a moment of silence. Thank you. Deb's calming spirit, and I could see her right now sitting right at that front entrance telling everybody where to go and what to do right now, and her spirit is still with us today. Dan, on behalf of Cleveland City Council and on behalf of all of your friends, you have our most sincere condolences to the Hansen family on the loss of your sister. Thank you. Let's give Dan and the Hansen family a round of applause if we could. Once again, my name is Blaine Griffin. I'm the president of Cleveland City Council, and it's an honor and a privilege to be here with you today to celebrate the great diversity of Cleveland. This event, the Cleveland International Hall of Fame, has become one of my favorite events because it really represents what Cleveland looks like. The immigrants and the ethnic communities that made the city what it is today. I'm honored and privileged to serve one of the most eclectic historic neighborhoods in the city of Cleveland, which is the Little Italy neighborhood, and I see we have Basil Russo here today. But all of the 117 or more ethnicities in the city of Cleveland get a chance to come today and be celebrated in their own way. I do want to take a moment, if I could, to thank and to appreciate and to congratulate all of the honorees that will be getting honored today. This is truly an honor and a privilege. As I was watching the screen, you had some very prominent people from all sectors of life, from business, labor, the political community, and philanthropy, as well as the medical and other fields. And it's always a privilege when someone gets a chance to be honored. But it's a privilege and honor for me to be able to sit here to tell you today that I get a chance to see my friend, my mentor, my confidant, and I dare to say still my leader, Mayor Frank G. Jackson, who's here with us today. Mayor Jackson doesn't get out often, so just to see him out here socializing and hanging out with everybody does my heart well. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very special event. This is an event where we celebrate Cleveland's diversity, and all I can say on behalf of Cleveland City Council is that this is CLE, and I thank you so much to the Hanson family and everyone for putting this together every year. This is truly, truly representative of the beauty and the grace of Cleveland, and thank you so much. Have a great day and enjoy your evening.
Mr. President, thank you very much. And right now, I'd like to introduce the co-founder of the Cleveland International Hall of Fame. We all know him. He is the reason we're here tonight. He and his late sister, Deb, and what a nice tribute you just gave there, President Griffin. Please welcome Mr. Dan Hanson to the stage.
Well, I got to thank Russ first, because Russ is a pro's pro. We're so lucky to have him not only here tonight, but in Cleveland. Here's a nationally known broadcaster. Debbie and I were like two of the first people to meet you when you came to town. And he said, the hustle and bustle of Washington, D.C. and New York is a little much now. I want to kind of slow down. And he came here, and his first week, there were these breaking national stories, like the Ariel Castro, the girls who were kidnapped and things like that. So it never really slowed down for you, Russ, but we're honored to have you here. He's been a good friend of the Hall of Fame, a good friend to me and Debbie and Mom and all, and Cleveland is lucky to have him here, so thank you, Russ. Thanks also to the John Marshall Jr. ROTC. We've had them here several years. I see them out in the community. They're great young people. It's a cliche to say that they're our future, but they really are. They're a great group of kids to me, young people from John Marshall. And how about William Clarence Marshall III? If you've never heard him sing before, I think you were probably blown away, right? What a voice. I first saw William sing at Opera in the Italian Garden many years ago, and he just blew everyone away with that voice. So thanks for being here, William. Blaine Griffin, thank you. Been a friend for years, going back to when you were community relations director under some random mayor, right? Mayor Jackson, he was your community relations director. Now he's been the president of Cleveland City Council. He's a great leader. We always see him in the community. He's in every neighborhood. He actually inducted one of our people. You'll see him on the screen, inducting Khalid Samad back in 2016. And he's been a supporter of the Hall of Fame, and more importantly, a supporter of Debbie and Mom and me ever since. He's a great friend and a great leader, so thanks for being here. Angela Shute Woodson was coming still to represent Mayor Bibb and County Executive Chris Ornanes in his meeting, but he's coming here afterwards, so we'll shove them in fast. I want to thank in advance Iman Ramez Islambouli from CASE, who is going to give the invocation. It seems the last few years, the people giving the invocation have all been Catholics, but we had Bishop Woost and Bishop Malesic. You can't turn out a bishop when you get a chance for that. But we have over the years, we've had Hindu, Jewish, Baptist, Catholic. I'm probably missing something, but tonight we have Muslim. So we're looking forward to Iman Islambouli, and we're going to hear a couple of words from Sister Rita Mary Hardwood, who is really kind of a living saint. If you don't know her work with Catholic Charities and what she's done with prisoners and refugees and all. So we'll hear a word or two from her, which I'm kind of putting you on the spot, Sister. I'm sorry about that. We have a few of our board members here tonight. Mike Miller, John Lewis, Juan Lloyd Powell. And I want to thank especially Juan and Mike Powell they schlepped the books up here and brought the quilts and all. You know, these quilts, you should look at them sometime. It was my sister's idea a few years ago to reach out to the communities and say, hey, we'll give you a blank square, you do something from your community, and we'll put them all on a quilt. So we got these 3, and eventually we'll do more. We have great volunteers. You probably met them all tonight. Rich Crepage was at the desk, Rania Abadi, Bridget Maroke. They were leading people around. Anjan Ghosh taking pictures, and Johnny Wu with the book. There's too many dignitaries to point out. This is a heavy hitter room. But we do have the ambassador from Croatia who came in from DC, Pierre Simonovic. So, Ambassador, it's good to have you here. We also have the Consul General of Slovenia, Susanna Cesaric, here. And at her table there, we have several honorary consuls representing countries of Serbia, Lithuania, the Philippines, Lebanon, France, and Ukraine. So we've got a really good group here. Let me quick go over the sponsors. The gold sponsor was Ambassador Edward Crawford, and we got a nice table of Irish people here supporting the ambassador there, led by Jerry Quinn, the legend. Silver sponsors, Albert and Audrey Ratner. Mr. Ratner couldn't be here tonight, but he's still a supporter. Alex Machaski, inaugural class. The Cleveland Council on World Affairs. The Cleveland Cultural Gardens Federation with their president, Dr. Weil Curry. The Cleveland School of Rhythmic Arts over here in support of Svetlana. Global Cleveland, there's Joe and his team there. Idea Stream Public Media, got you right there. The Japanese American Citizens League, Cleveland chapter. Margaret W. Wong and Associates, been with us from the start. And of course, the legendary Richard Pogue up here. So thanks that. We also, last year, Ambassador Crawford said, hey, one of our goals is inspire a new generation. So we've been inviting some student tables, and we've got 4 great tables here tonight. I told you about the John Marshall High Junior ROTC there. We've also got students from the East Tech High School AFJ ROTC. There they are waving in the corner. How you doing, guys? I saw them perform at the Fatima, across from League Park, the Fatima Center there, where some of the Cleveland Cavaliers were giving out food and all, and they marched and worked and volunteered. They're a great group. We have students from Ginn Academy. You guys there? And we have students from Lake Catholic High School. So I know you're going to be inspired by some of these stories. We have several past inductees here tonight, and I want you to hold your applaud, but if that person could raise their hand, I'm sure I'm going to miss someone, so be loud if I miss you. So we have Anda Cook, Basil Russo, August Proust, Carolyn Baylaw, Dick Pogue, Dr. Weil Curry, Georgine Wheelo, Jerry Quinn, Yawa Ryan, Ingrida Bublis, Jenny Brown, Jim Creation, Joe Meisner, Jose Feliciano, Paul Burek, Pierre Bejani, Ralph Perk Jr., Sheila Murphy Crawford, Sudarshan Sate, and Valerie McCall. Did I miss anyone? Johnny Woo. See, he was just last year, so when I looked at my notes, Johnny, you're used to being last, being a W, so sorry about that, Johnny. I will definitely hear from Johnny about this later. So, anyone else? Well, thanks to all the previous inductees. You know, watch this slideshow. We're 15 years old now, so that means we're almost 100 people have been inducted. And some are very well known, and some are lesser known, but they're all very deserving, and we're thrilled to have them. We're going to have 6 new inductees tonight after dinner. I just have a couple things to say about each. Raj Agarwal, I first met at John Carroll and knew he was the smartest guy in the room. He's very private. He doesn't tell you what he does, but if you go to like the art museum, you'll see the Agarwal wing, or if you see with various institutions, there'll an Agarwal. That's Raj. David Gilbert, what can I say? I mean, he's brought more international visitors and their checkbooks to Cleveland than anyone. We've witnessed literally hundreds of thousands of international visitors for things like the International Children's Games way back when, the World Schools Games, the Continental Cup, Sports Awards, of course, the RNC, recently the Pan Am Master Games, many more. So I went back and looked in our webpage of what our coverage was of him. We counted over 90 countries represented that David and his team have brought in. And yeah, there's hundreds of millions of dollars, and I'm not downplaying that at all, but the trickle down, when you get to talk to these people, where these people from, say, Mongolia or wherever, they've never heard of Cleveland, Ohio. They've never heard of Ohio. And, you know, all of a sudden they're in Cleveland and say, hey, these people are pretty cool, they're friendly, and I like them, and maybe I want to come back, and they got good schools, and, you know, that trickle down is huge. And one thing about David, and, you know, I can go on and on for him, but Joe's going to do that. He's got a big vision. So when the Pan Am Master Games were looking to come somewhere, they've only been in the Western Hemisphere twice. And that was at Rio de Janeiro and Vancouver. So a lot of people would say, well, maybe Los Angeles, maybe New York, maybe Chicago. He says, why not Cleveland? And he brought him here to Cleveland, and it was amazing. So you go for it and you succeed, and we all appreciate it. And then our good friend, Mayor Frank G. Jackson, the longest serving mayor in Cleveland history. He had a firm grasp on the importance of ethnic groups and the people in making a great city. How many of you have heard a speech where Mayor Jackson started off and said, Cleveland is a great city because, and maybe he's speaking to the Lebanese in the Rotunda, or the Italians with Matt Zone and Italian Heritage Night, but he understood the neighborhoods and the people, and that's what made a great city. So he opened up the Rotunda of City Hall for ethnic groups. He enhanced the sister cities programs, you know, with Rouen, France, and Fier, Albania. He helped take the African American Cultural Garden to the next level, right? Obi and Carl, I see you down there. And on a personal note, when my mom, sister, and I were honored by the Rotary Club of Cleveland right here, he came and spoke. He was the first time he ever came to the Rotary Club of Cleveland. They were thrilled, but not as thrilled as we were. So we always appreciate that, and thank you for all you've done, Mayor Jackson. Beverly Karasman, you've seen her with the Shoujo Japanese dancers. They're fixtures at the Cleveland Asian Festival and the cultural gardens and all kinds of events over town. It's not the largest community. Beverly is the first person of Japanese heritage to be inducted, and we're so happy for that. She and the Shoujo G dancers, the dance group started in 1956, but Beverly and her team have been keeping it going. You have to read her bio, read everyone's bio, but when you read about her family and how they're in internment camps in World War II, not that long ago, and how hard it was for Japanese Americans after World War II. So be sure to read her bio and learn about that. Branka Malinar is the first Croatian to be inducted. So I always say I associate her with her late husband, Jerry. They were a team. She really misses them. We all really miss them. But she's kept it going. They have an outstanding Croatian Heritage Museum. They have an outstanding Croatian Cultural Garden with one of my favorite statues there, Joseph Turkley's statue of the immigrant mother. And, read her bio. At the age of 4, her family was, they had to flee the communist revolution in Croatia and escape to a DP camp in Austria. And she keeps working on efforts at the museum and the Croatian, anything with Croatian heritage. And Svetlana Stolyarova is our first complete Russian person. Svetlana was born in the USSR, came here in 1999, and she and 2 others helped establish the Russian Cultural Garden. Under her leadership, they designed it, built it, dedicated it in 2018. She brought the bust of Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space there. In 2019, she creates Russian events like Pushkin Day, Maslenitsa, the Stars of Summer, all of that. And what's interesting, I know we have Ukrainian friends here today. When Putin invaded Ukraine, Svetlana publicly denounced it and gave her support for the people of Ukraine. And the Russian garden actually removed the flag of Russia from their garden. So, thanks, Svetlana. So I appreciate Blaine mentioning my sister, but I don't want to dwell on it. This is 6 great people being inducted tonight, so let's focus on them. I do want to say Debbie was the driving force behind this Hall of Fame. Our intention was to honor these great people who have done all this stuff. I mean, just look at, I don't know who's up there now, but for you students in the back to be inspired and take some of these lessons and all. Someone asked about, they said, it's pretty expensive to come here. And I said, yeah, it is, but you're supporting the Hall of Fame. And it's a nonprofit, and I can tell you, neither Debbie or I have ever taken $1 from this. Every dollar that comes in goes to expenses, paying the books and all that, and the Hall of Fame. So there's never been a salary. My mom always said we're bad business people, and we're stupid like that. But I just want to let you know, I don't get paid, she didn't get paid, none of that stuff, and we never will. So hopefully we can find some people to continue this with me. They're probably not going to be as stupid as me and do it for free, but we'll figure something out. So we're going to, like I say, I'm not going to talk about it, but I'm trying to think of some kind of tribute for Debbie eventually, naming something, a marker in the gardens or whatever, but I don't know. But I'll end with that. And I saw that Angela Shute-Woodson came in, and we'll go a little out of order and invite you to come up and give your remarks. Do you want to do it now, Angela? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. As Dan stated, I'm Angela Shute-Woodson, who's the Senior Advisor to Mayor Justin Bibb on Community and Governmental Affairs, as well as the Executive Director to the Community Relations Board. And in the absence of Mayor Justin Bibbs, he brings greetings, of course, but most of all, he wants to congratulate this particular class. And this class is special because one of our own who served this city a long time, Mayor Frank Jackson, is being recognized tonight. And that's important for us that work in city government, but as well as all of the honorees who are well-deserving today. So enjoy the evening. Congratulations to everyone, and you all look wonderful. Take care.
Angela and Dan, thank you very much. Now I'd like to welcome to the stage Sister Rita Mary Harwood. Let me tell you something about Sister Rita Mary. She was a longtime Catholic Charities secretary and minister to the imprisoned and worked to assist immigrants, migrants, refugees, and their families. An incredible lady. Please welcome to the podium, Sister Rita Mary Harwood. Sister Rita Mary.
Well, as Dan said in the beginning, this is coming straight from my heart. What a wonderful opportunity we have this evening to gather and celebrate who we are here in the city of Cleveland and surrounding area. I'm really very touched with the opportunity to express that. I'm a native Clevelander and so proud to be that. In the last, I retired after working at the diocese for 27 years. And in that period of time, certainly had the opportunity to meet so many of you. I'm seeing so many familiar faces. And that's Cleveland, isn't it? Shortly after I left the diocese, I went to Catholic Charities Migration and Refugee Services and said to them, in fact, it was 2 days later, I'm retired, I'm free, and I'm looking for something to do. As a result of that, the director at the time said to me, well, do you see all the things that are scattered through this building right now? The halls were lined with piles of all kinds of supplies for those refugees who were coming out of Afghanistan. If you remember, that was August of 2021. The offices were filled, the conference room was filled, the halls were filled. So Tom said to me, you know, sister, you could just organize all this for us. So I said to him, well, where am I going to put it? And he said, well, now that's your problem. In the time since, we established a refugee resource center over at St. Coleman's Parish on West 65th Street. To date, we have served and are serving 729 families coming from all over the world. What a gift it is to be able to do that. I have met some of the most wonderful people coming from Africa, from Asia, from Europe, from the Middle East, beautiful people who have come to make Cleveland their home. About 2 weeks ago, I was walking through the group. My responsibility is to just make everybody feel at home and welcome. And a group of ladies stopped me and said, we want to tell you something. I said, what is that? And they said, we're here to help now. You've been helping us for all this time. Now we want to help you. Isn't that the spirit of those who come? Isn't that very typical of this community? That's who we are, and that's who they feel they are. A couple minutes later, she said, you know, we've been talking. First of all, we want to tell you we love you and all the people who are here with us every single week. We can't get over how welcomed we feel. That's a message, I think, that they have for all of us who make this a community, a place of home, and who've said to them, welcome, you're welcome here. I think that's what we celebrate tonight. That's been our experience. As our families have come and celebrated in this area and created a city and a community we can be very proud of. So thank you, and thank you to Dan and Debbie for really creating this. I said to Dan, I know that Debbie is here with us tonight, making this an evening of celebration and fun and gratitude. So thank you very much to all of you.
Sister Rita Mary, thank you. To give the blessing before dinner tonight is Imam Ramez Isambuli. He's an adjunct professor of Islamic law at the law school at Case Western, among other things. We're so happy to have him here tonight. Imam?
Thank you, Dan, for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight, and it's an honor to give the invocation. Let's pause in gratitude and reverence as we gather in the heart of Cleveland a city shaped and strengthened by the hopes, dreams, and tireless efforts of those who came from every corner of the world, bringing with them the light of their heritage and the strength of their spirit. Tonight, we stand in celebration of that enduring legacy. We honor the visionaries, the bridge builders, the quiet heroes, and the courageous leaders who have given so much of themselves to uplift our community. Through their work, they have preserved traditions, sparked innovation, nurtured peace, and built pathways of understanding between cultures. May this occasion be a blessing on all who are present today. May the Cleveland International Hall of Fame continue to be not just a recognition of accomplishments, but a living testament to the belief that diversity is our greatest strength and that inclusion is our highest calling. We give thanks for the 2025 inductees. May their stories be told for generations, lightening the way for those who follow. May their courage and service be seeds of hope in every neighborhood, every home, and every heart. May their names be etched not only into these walls, but into the living memory of our city, inspiring future generations to lead with heart. Bless those who have made this evening possible. Bless this Hall of Fame, which keeps the flame of heritage and service burning bright. And bless our city, the city of Cleveland, ever diverse, ever welcoming, and ever strong. And may all of us, whether we arrived here generations ago or just yesterday, remember that we are bound together not by origin, but by purpose, not by heritage alone, but by the promise of what we can achieve together as a community. Let peace dwell among us. Let justice guide us. Let compassion be our companion. And may the love and the respect for one another be always our highest aim. And let tonight be a reminder of all that is possible when we honor the many voices of one proud community. Amen.
Imam, thank you. All right, we're going to continue our program now, and we have a special guest speaker for you right now. Coming up to the podium at this moment, the third executive, Cuyahoga County, Chris Ronay.
Thank you, Russ Mitchell. Give it up for Russ Mitchell here. All those years I watched him in the New York broadcast. He found his way to Cleveland, and I said to him on the way in tonight, he just keeps giving of his civic time. Tonight you're here, tomorrow you're with the State of the City speech. I just really appreciate a guy who has two jobs in life. He's got his day job on the news, and he's got us in the civic community. So how are we tonight? Great to see you. I was asked rather impromptu by Dan Hansen to just give a hello from Cuyahoga, and I want to say hello to you. It's great to be with the honorees tonight, and I want to congratulate you in advance, but it's great to be with all of you here in the region. As you know, our currency is that we welcome persons from all over the world to Cleveland, Ohio, to Cuyahoga County, to Northeast Ohio. We are a community that welcomes because I believe we all know our roots. We all came from somewhere. Our parents, our grandparents came from somewhere. And the only way this region really is going to grow is if we grow in immigrants, right? And it's a story that I know personally as a family who, yes, you can give that up. I'll take it. 20% of American entrepreneurs are immigrants, right? When we grow in people, we grow in jobs, we grow in employers. I'm lucky to be married into a family and of a family where my stepfather and my father-in-law both came from another country. And I've told this, yes, hey, all right? I've told this story a few times, so if you've heard it before, just their experience upon arrival. My stepfather came out of war-torn Europe. His village in northern Italy was being bombed, and when he was 7 years old, and literally told the stories, his first memories about literally hiding out in the woods with his aunt and his uncle, trying to evade the bombs that were coming down in his community of Bolzano, Italy. But he tells the story about coming over literally on the Queen Elizabeth. He comes over the Atlantic shores, and the very first thing he is treated to as a 7-year-old kid on the shores of New York City is an African-American gentleman who gave him a stick of chewing gum. That was welcome to America. He said, I didn't know what to do with it, but when I chewed it, it was pretty good. The point is, somebody said, you're welcome here. That was my stepfather. My father-in-law came through the port of New York of a different kind. He came through JFK out of Lebanon. He came into the airport, and he literally, there we go, I'll give it up for Lebanese Cultural Garden. Oh, I see a Pierre, I see a cameo. Hello, Ferris. My old neighbor, by the way. Ferris, would you stand up? You are one of the first persons I met in a new community when we moved to Cleveland. This is Ferris, my friend, who used to run the Superette right around the corner from me, and he's a good buddy of mine for 50 years now. Anyways, my father-in-law came through the JFK airport, and he literally did not know how to get home here to Northeast Ohio, his second home where his relatives lived. And somebody helped him literally make a phone call. That was welcoming, right? We are an American country, whether we're giving a kid a stick of chewing gum or letting them know how to literally make a phone call to get to their new home. We welcome here in the region. I want to say you need not look no further as some friends stepped up from one of our cultural gardens, the Lebanese cultural gardens, but we have this incredible treasure here in Cleveland. I told Larry, who represents the French gardens, I saw him the other day work in the gardens. What the gardens mean to us is they really celebrate our 140 different ethnic communities. And as they say in the cultural gardens, Alex, you know this from the Serbian cultural gardens, you know this, that we have peace through mutual understanding, right? Peace through mutual understanding. It's literally the moniker of the Cleveland Cultural Gardens. Dan is regularly taking footage of the new gardens as they grow up, but we could be in a place where places around the world are at odds with one another. But literally here in Cleveland, Ohio, we are building gardens next to one another in peace through mutual understanding. I want to say to the honorees, to Raj, to David, to Mayor Jackson, to Beverly, to Branka, to Svetlana, congratulations to being inducted into this Hall of Fame. You are now amongst, I believe, 100 different honorees who have crossed through these halls to become Hall of Fame awardees. Thank you for the civic work you do. I need to give a special shout out to my man, to my friend. I'm a Cleveland resident, and for many years he was our Cleveland mayor. I just want to say, Mayor Frank Jackson, thank you for your years of service in public service to the city of Cleveland. Thank you. And the civic work just keeps going. I heard from one of the honorees, David Gilbert, at about 7 in the morning as he's pitching new events constantly. You guys keep going. You are Cleveland. We are international Cleveland. We keep a good thing growing, and we're going to grow through immigrants. And right now I'm going to give it back to Russ Mitchell and say thank you very much for all you do to welcome newcomers to the great county of Cuyahoga County. Thanks again.
Chris, thank you. Now it's time to induct some good folks into the Cleveland International Hall of Fame. But before we do this, Dan has asked me to play game show host and tell them what they've won, Johnny. Every honoree gets an award, a lapel pin, a proclamation from the governor, from Mayor Bibb, from Chris Ronayne, from the Cleveland City Council, but wait, there's more. From State Senator Nikki Antonio, Congressman Dave Joyce, and Representative Tom Patton. So that's a nice little gift bag you get when you come up and receive your award. Let's begin right now. To induct Raj Agarwal is Stuart Brzezinski. Stuart is President and CEO of Values in Action Project Love. Stuart, come on up.
Well, good evening, everybody. And congratulations to all the honorees, to David, to Mayor Jackson, to Beverly, to Branka, and to Svetlana. Thank you for all you do and what you represent. I asked Raj, why did he come to this country? He said he came here in 1968 to complete his graduate work. And he fully expected that he was going to return to his family business in New Delhi. But he fell in love with Northeast Ohio, and he fell in love with a woman, now his wife of 49 years. So that's been our benefit. He became an expert in finance, not only in the academic field, at John Carroll University, at Kent State University, and at the University of Akron, where he became the head of the business school, the dean of the business school. And he became, in that capacity, an incredible mentor. I met him when he was dean of the business school because he mentored my cousin who came here from Argentina. And he saw a young man like he was back in the day, who came to our country, who had family here, but needed mentorship, needed guidance, and Raj provided that. Raj has done the same for so many people. We have, at Values in Action, we have a little acronym that we use to describe Raj, because we don't believe that his initials, RA, stand for Raj Agarwal. We believe that it stands for right away, because every time we ask Raj, can you do something? Yes, I'll do it right away. And he gets it done right away. And that's the kind of person that he is. That is what has endeared him to so many organizations, to IdeaStream, to Ancora as a business advisor, to ERC on their board for many, many years, to Kent State University, where he serves on the board of the Kent State University Foundation. And the list goes on and on and on. If you look at Raj's LinkedIn page, there are about 20, 30 different organizations where he served on the board or he served as an advisor. And that's one of the great attributes that Raj has, that he always says a qualified yes. You know, now many of us in the room, because we're all busy, know the power of no. Raj does not know the power of no, but he knows the power of a qualified yes. If he sees a good organization, it's yes, I can serve. If he sees an entrepreneur that needs to be pointed in the right direction, yes, I can serve. That's Raj Agarwal. I asked Raj what this country means to him and how he's benefited from this country. And it's interesting what he said. He said that I learned, because of the emphasis on personal freedoms in our country, I learned to be myself. I learned that I could be myself and I don't have to be other people's expectations of myself. And that's a real gift. You know, I had never thought of that. I don't know if you in the audience have thought of that. The gift of our country is that we could be our authentic selves. I remember one year when I was in Los Angeles and doing some filming for one of our projects, and I asked a Chinese American about the values of our nation, what he valued in our nation, and he said, if I make a mistake, I'm not going to be killed. So I think that it's important for us to recognize those gifts that Raj articulates, and I'm sure that all of us in the room can articulate many gifts that we have from our nation. Raj, unfortunately, is out of town, so he's not going to be accepting his award, so I'm going to accept on his behalf. But I just want to express my appreciation to Dan and to the Hall of Fame for recognizing the uniqueness of Raj Agarwal as an inductee and the contributions that he's made to our community. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, everyone.
is for you. Thank you, Matthew. Our next inductee is Branka Malinar. Inducted by Thomas Turkley. Tom is Executive Director of the Cleveland Cultural Gardens Federation. Tom, come on up. There it is.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, on behalf of the Cleveland Cultural Gardens, I wanted to put a special thank you to Dan and his sister, Debbie, who will be sorely missed. Those two have been staunch advocates of the Cultural Gardens before we were even fashionable. Sorry about that. I'd like to welcome our ambassador, Pierre Shimonovich, fellow inductees, and distinguished guests. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Branka Malinar, the first inductee from the Croatian community into the International Hall of Fame. I have literally known Branka my entire life. Her and her husband, dear Jerry, were very close friends of my parents before I even existed. Branka and Jerry had shared a lifetime love of everything Croatian and guided their lifelong commitment to sharing that with others. That love was first instilled by Branka, by her parents, who raised her in the close-knit Croatian community that was surrounded about St. Paul's on East 40th Street. Even though I know Branka my entire life, my involvement with the Croatian community came much later. I can still vividly recall that phone call I received in the middle of the day while at work in 2008. It was Branka. She had just received the call from the Lozich Foundation, who wanted to establish a Croatian cultural garden, and was told by the Federation to contact Branka at the Heritage Museum because she represents the community in that effort. That says it all. She represents the Croatian community. Her long dedication to promoting Croatian culture throughout Northeast Ohio makes that a very true statement. That phone call initiated my long-term involvement in the museum and the Croatian Cultural Garden. I was recruited and soon became yet another of Branka's quote-unquote students of Croatian culture, because once a teacher, always a teacher. Her teaching career started in 1973 after she completed an undergraduate degree in elementary education at Baldwin Wallace and began working at the North Ridgeville City Schools, teaching math and science. But she didn't stop there and quickly began working on her master's degree from Cleveland State in curriculum and gifted education. During that time, she was approached and accepted the task of creating the gifted education program in North Ridgeville, teaching students in 3 grade levels for 22 years. As one of her quote-unquote students, I guess I can call myself gifted as well. While teaching full-time, Branka still found the time to dedicate to the Croatian community. In 1983, as the Croatians were building their new home in Eastlake, a group of dedicated people gathered together to start a museum, and Branka was part of that group. They slowly started to build a collection of artifacts, construct displays, and organize the collection. During this time, they also started collecting books about Croatia or in Croatian to start an accompanying library. She has dedicated over 40 years to preserving and promoting the Croatian culture in Northeast Ohio. She has also taken our museum on the road to many schools, organizations, and museums throughout the area to help educate people about our rich heritage. Again, the teacher in her. Over the years, Branka has served as president and chief curator of the museum and library. Now, mind you, she lives in North Ridgeville. That's 50 miles each way. I call that dedication. There is, however, one decision she has made, I don't know if you made it on your own, that I do have to question. Making my father treasurer. What were you thinking? Math was definitely not his forte. After that fateful phone call, for me anyway, in 2008, the community began to develop the Croatian Culture Garden. It was Branka's leadership that helped galvanize the community to raise funds and eventually dedicate it in 2012. This is yet another way of showcasing the deep Croatian heritage to the greater community, an act that Branka deeply is devoted to. She has also spent countless hours physically working in the gardens. In addition to her leadership of the museum, Branka is also one of the founders of the Croatian National Women's Club Cardinal Stepinac. One of its first ventures was helping raise funds for the construction of the Croatian home in Eastlake. Lastly, but most importantly, is her love and devotion to her family. Most, if not all, are here tonight to celebrate with her. Her 4 daughters, Drina, Mirna, Vesna, and Nada, spouses, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, are her true source of pride. Can you guys please stand up? She has even taken the time to drive some of her grandchildren to Tamburitzin lessons every week, again, making that 50-mile one-way journey to help instill that love of Croatian culture in the next generation. It is my honor to induct into the International Hall of Fame class of 2025, Branka Molinar.
Good job. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Tom, for the very nice introduction and nomination for this special award. I also would like to welcome our special guest, Pierre Shimunovich, our ambassador to the United States, who came all the way from Washington, D.C. to be here. And I also would like to mention Honorable Frank Jackson, former mayor of Cleveland, who joined us in dedicating our Croatian Cultural Garden a few years ago. My sincere gratitude to Dan Hansen and his sister Debbie for all the many years of dedication to developing clevelandpeople.com. May the dear Lord take Debbie into his hands to heaven. We will miss her. The special award from the Cleveland International Hall of Fame was truly a surprise for me and my family and a real honor. I'm sure this award would warm my late husband, Jerry, if he were here today, and I'm sure somewhere there he's looking down upon us. So one day in August of 1983, Jerry came home from a meeting and declared that we were going to do this. And we were going to build a museum and a library in the new Croatian Lodge. So how could I say no, right? So that's how the planning of the Croatian Heritage Museum and Heritage Library started and opened 1 year later. Jerry and I worked for over 40 years, planning exhibits and events, promoting our history and our culture. We presented a breadth of folk art, fine art, literature, and outreach programs. In 2009, as Tom said, the Croatian community was offered the opportunity to put our own stamp on the Cleveland Cultural Gardens in Rockefeller Park. Another moment to say yes. For those of you that don't know, the mission of these gardens is to experience the peace and culture of the countries that are represented in the gardens. The Croatian Cultural Garden opened in 2012, centered on our prize sculpture is the beautiful immigrant mother by Joseph Turkely, Tom's dad. She represents all the immigrant mothers. And I would add that she represents my mom because my mom came here when I was 10 and my little sister was 9 months. And my sister's here somewhere. So the back of this beautiful statue reads, quote, dedicated to all the immigrant mothers who brought their families to America seeking freedom and a new life, end quote. I personally have carried my love for my homeland, Croatia, in my heart ever since age 4, when I left, along with my parents, Nikola and Ivka, Frigan, my baka Agatha, and my baby sister Marie. We immigrated to Cleveland in 1951 and brought our love for our culture with us. Jerry and I dedicated our lives to promoting our Croatian culture, and I will continue to do as I'm able. So if you haven't noticed, Tom already pointed out my large family. I love each and every one of you. And our 4 daughters, I'd like to mention, they were involved in our community as well. So my daughters Drina and Mirna played in the Lorraine Tamburica dance group. Nada volunteers her graphic art skills with the museum and garden printing. Vesna volunteers in the garden on One World Day and presents school outreach programs. 2 of my grandchildren, Jesse and Morgan, danced in the Zagreb folk dance group for 7 years. So over the years, it's thrilled me to be able to take some of my children and grandchildren on trips to Croatia so that they can see what a beautiful country it is. These trips have provided them with the opportunity to meet our family members who still reside around Zagreb. The children cannot get enough of the beautiful Adriatic Sea and its numerous islands, the mountains which their father used to climb, the exquisite ancient architecture, the beautiful cathedrals and churches, the lovely green pastures and vineyards and wine cellars, and beautiful tambura music. I still have, I think, one more group to take. They have to finish college. Finally, I'm grateful to the many wonderful volunteers over the past 42 years who each contributed their unique skills and untold hours. And they're with us here today at that end table down the middle, and I'm happy you're here. I share this honor also with those who no longer are with us. Francis and Nick Babich helped start the museum. Artist Denny Gorn created many illustrations for exhibits. Božidar Abjanic restored all of the library shelving. Jerka Orshanic and Jerry organized the library. Today, I also have with me our current museum volunteers. Mila Mandic is the current president. You guys can raise your hand. She also takes care of our garden. That's her job, big job, maintaining the garden. Tom Turkely is our treasurer. Joe Katsenin, our secretary. And our many other volunteers include Melita Ragush, Maria Šarić, Staza and Herbert Jerinic, Smilka Bosnar, Patricia Briggs, Barbara and Steve Cherry, Maria Vokic, Sue and Bob Jaron, and Tilika Zofko. I almost misspelled your name. Thanks also to all the organizations that have supported our projects financially over the years. The Catherine and Edward Lozic Foundation, the American Croatian Lodge, the Croatian Women's Club, the Croatian Businessmen's Association, the Cottage family and Skalitsky family, and St. Paul's Parish. Congratulations to all the other nominees who are here today. Keep on doing everything you do to promote your culture. Cleveland was built by the many immigrants who settled here and built it into a great community called Cleveland. So today I accept the award on behalf of all immigrant mothers and my mother, who held my hand as I stepped off the General Muir ship onto Ellis Island and led me on this journey to Cleveland. Thank you.
Mrs. Molinar, congratulations. She looked at me, she said, I've watched you on TV for years. You have gray hair, you've been around for a while. I said, yes, I have. So thank you very much for that. How sweet. Our next inductee tonight is the 57th mayor of the city of Cleveland, the Honorable Frank G. Jackson. Mayor Jackson will be inducted by Albert Ratner, presented by Dr. Valerie J. McCall. Valerie's former Chief of Communications, Government, and International Affairs for the city. She served under the Jackson administration. Valerie, you're up. Valerie McCall, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, good evening. Good evening. Okay, I'm going to start my 3.5-hour dissertation of the induction of Mayor Jackson effective immediately. Just joking. First and foremost, I would like to say congratulations to all of the honorees this evening. On behalf of Albert Ratner, he could not be here this evening. So I'm going to read his introduction and induction of Mayor Jackson, and then at the close, I'm just going to offer a couple of personal comments. I wish I could be with you all tonight. Thank you, Valerie, for stepping in for me. I want to thank the Hanson family for their commitment and choosing outstanding candidates each year, including myself. Thank you. Congratulations on 15 years. Also, congratulations to all of the winners this year. The winners are not chosen because they are better, but because they have made themselves better for all of us. I have been privileged to know many mayors throughout the United States. Frank stands out by far as one of the best because of what he accomplished as mayor of the city of Cleveland. I will not list them all, but many things done are still gems in the city. The Cleveland Plan for Education, Rocket Mortgage Stadium, the West Shore Way, Edgewater Park, and I added this neighborhood redevelopment. What is also wonderful is that he did it with honesty and integrity, and also as an advocate for people of all colors. When Frank said it is what it is, what his action said is, we will not accept what it is, we are going to change it. Mayor, thank you for making Cleveland a better city. Audrey and I send all of our love. That is from Mr. Albert Ratner. Let's give Mr. Ratner a hand of applause. And I just want to offer a couple comments. Everyone in this room that was part of the international community when Mayor Jackson first took office know what happened. The international community came to City Hall and said, Mayor, we want you to open up a place. We want a welcoming center. We want to use the rotunda. And the mayor said, done. But he did say, I don't want a welcoming city in the City Hall because at some point somebody can close a welcoming city. I want a welcoming community. And that's where Global Cleveland was born out of. If you all remember, Global Cleveland was born out of that. It was Albert Ratner's main idea to help create this. Mayor Jackson has illustrated as the 56th mayor, he's the 56th mayor of the city of Cleveland, with his actions, with his commitments to everything that he has done from when he was a councilman to when he was a leader. He's the same person. You can go back and pull all of his State of the City addresses. He told you everything he was going to do, then he reported on it, and he told you what he was going to focus on next year. He never wavered, he never changed, but at the heart of everything that he believed in the people of the city of Cleveland. I live in Ward 6. Blaine Griffin is my councilman. He will tell you at our last meeting, people stood up and they were fussing about stuff that they deserve to have as a resident. And Mayor Jackson used to always say, they only are asking for what they deserve to have as a resident of the city of Cleveland. And so when you think about the international community and you juxtapose to where we are in history today, everyone in this room plays a role to the leadership and the integrity that Mayor Jackson gave. We are who we are. We are one another. There's no difference between us. We're different shades of excellence. And Mayor Jackson bestowed that in his administration. When I tell you, if he got out somewhere and Pierre or somebody grabbed him and said, hey, I called for the rotunda and they didn't call me back, he would ask, why didn't they get that rotunda? What's going on? So tonight we honor someone who honestly he probably would say, I don't want an honor. I don't want to be honored. But you deserve it, Mayor. You have led. You have fought. You are an exemplary example of what leadership is supposed to be. And for that, Mayor Jackson, we thank you. And it's my honor to stand here on behalf of Albert Ratner and say, Mayor, congratulations.
You taking pictures?
Yeah, we have to take a picture. I'm sorry, Dan is trying not to get up here. Come on. Thank you.
Well, good evening. It's been a long time since I said that, by the way. I want to thank Mr. Radner and Ms. McCall for the introduction, and also want to congratulate all of the other inductees. When I was mayor, one of the best times I had, and the times I enjoyed most, was dealing with the international community. And it didn't matter whether it was Global Cleveland, the Consulate Corps, the Cultural Gardens, whatever it was. Even the times when they organized trips overseas to various countries that we went to, it was done by the international community. And so I want to thank them for the work that they've done, because Cleveland is what it is today, not because of us as individuals, but because of groups and generations that have gone before us that have made us who we are today. And now on a personal note, my father is African-American, black. And he, from his side of the family, we could trace generations in this country for generations. On my mother's side, my grandfather, her father, was born in Italy. And he came here, and I think around 1910. So my mother was the first generation born here in Cleveland, which makes me the second. Not born here in Cleveland, but born in the United States, which makes me the second generation. So I mention that to say that Cleveland is a place where everybody, as was said earlier, can be who they want to be and can accomplish what they want to accomplish. And Cleveland is a place that is built on generations of people who have sacrificed and who have done things that we may not remember as groups, but as individuals and as families. I want to congratulate all of you and thank you for the recognition.
Mayor Jackson, congratulations to you. Our next inductee this evening is Beverly Karasman. She will be inducted by Lisa Wong. Lisa is president of the Organization of Chinese Americans, Greater Cleveland. She's also the co-founder of the Cleveland Asian Festival, which of course is coming up next month. Ladies and gentlemen, Lisa Wong.
Hello. I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate all the inductees for today's class of 2025. Beverly Haru Hachiguchi was born in Cleveland, Ohio. She is an educator and a strong advocate for the Japanese American community. Beverly is third-generation Japanese American. Both her parents' families were incarcerated in internment camps during World War II. With the loss of their California homes and businesses, they resettled in the greater Cleveland area. While growing up in the Midwest after the war, being Japanese American presented unique challenges. Consequently, Japanese Americans formed social clubs and organizations out of necessity. Beverly has served as an officer of the Cleveland JACL, which is the local chapter of the Japanese American Citizens League. It is the first and oldest Asian American civil rights organization in the United States. She has organized workshops, advocate for civil rights, coordinated youth programs and events for the Japanese American community. But she is most known for her role as the co-lead of Sojoji Japanese dancers. They perform locally and all over Ohio. They performed at Lunar New Year events, the Akron Sakura Festival, the Cleveland Asian Festival, and One World Day, and many, many different events throughout Northeast Ohio. She even taught Japanese dance to Spider-Man and friends at Cleveland's Fan Expo, just last month. Last year, Beverly played a key role in restructuring the annual Oban Festival. It upholds the traditions of honoring families and ancestors. She effectively coordinated the 79th Oban Festival, uniting Sojoji Japanese dancers, JCL, and the Cleveland Japanese American Foundation as sponsors. This year marks the 80th Oban Festival in Cleveland, and it'll take place on July 20th. Beverly has also served as the president of CARP, which is the Cleveland Asian Retired Persons Organization. She's a member of the JCL Scholarship Committee. Even though she's retired, she continues her role as an educator through dance, works as a substitute teacher, and remains actively involved in the community. Beverly is truly one of Cleveland's most devoted leaders in our multicultural society. I've always admired her for her positive attitude and gentle leadership. It is my honor and privilege to introduce the first person of Japanese ancestry to receive the Cleveland International Hall of Fame Award for her lifetime achievement in the Japanese American community, Beverly Hachiguchi Correctman.
Oh, yeah, want my flower. Okay.
Thank you for the lovely introduction, Lisa. Congratulations to the 2025 inductees. My heartfelt thanks to Dan Hansen and the Cleveland International Hall of Fame. I share this recognition with my colleagues. The co-director, as Lisa has said, is Nancy Takeda of the Shojoji Dancers. With among her on our tables are present and past dancers. Wait. Presiding over the Cleveland Japanese Foundation are Bill and Pat Sadataki. Board members of CARP are Linda Bezick, Joyce Kulik, and Ken Kano. You do not have to be Asian to join the group. Linda's Slovenian. And we held many of our lunches at the Croatian Hall. My brother Mark Hashiguchi is here with his wife Dee. Now, my half-Polish sons, David is here with Polly and Abigail. And Michael is here with Simone and Claire. Some of you may have seen Claire dance with us. If I may, I might borrow this phrase from Mayor Jackson. Cleveland is great because it welcomed the Japanese and Japanese Americans out of the camps when they were homeless. Our families have learned to live and was welcomed by the Cleveland community. And on February 19th, 1942, President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066. I would hope we would learn from history. 120 men, women, and children of Japanese and Japanese descent were put in the camps in deserts in the parts of the United States. 2/3 of those were American citizens. There were no incidents of criminal or things against our government. In fact, many of the men did serve as United States military. Now, when we settled in Cleveland, first of all, my parents gave me a name that no Japanese person can pronounce, Beverly. There are no V's or R's, and for those of you that are educators, you do have to speak a language prior to the age of 7, or else you will have an accent, okay? So Beverly was born in Yarnold Hospital in Cleveland, and as a child, I was sent home one day. And they said I wanted to go home, and I was at my friend's house to eat. What I said is I wanted gohan. And my mother laughed. I never got a meal. Gohan is the Japanese word for rice. So I gratefully accept this prestigious award on behalf of the current and past Japanese American community. Domo arigato gozaimasu.
Congratulations. Our next inductee this evening is Svetlana Stoyarova. Ms. Stoyarova will be inducted by Dr. Anton Komar. Dr. Komar is a CSU professor and also heads the Cellular and Molecular Medicine Center. Dr. Komar.
Good evening, everybody. I would like also to join all others in congratulations our today inductees. So with this special honor to be inducted in the Cleveland International Hall of Fame. So it's a very distinct honor and special privilege and great pleasure to introduce today Svetlana Stoyarova, who is a friend and also an exceptional individual of many accomplishments. I would like just to highlight a few titles so that you would understand what she was able to achieve here in Cleveland. Svetlana is the founder and chief executive officer of the local and global reality company. She is also a founder and emeritus board member of the Cleveland Russian Cultural Gardens. As you have heard also, for many years, she served as executive director and board member of the entire Cleveland Cultural Gardens organization. Besides that, she is also a board member of the Cleveland Ballet Theater, and she is also an executive director of the Cleveland Stars Summer Music, Dance, and Arts Festival. From this list alone, you can see that Svetlana is an individual of many talents. But I would like to highlight her one and unique gift. She has a unique gift and ability to bring together and unite people of different cultural backgrounds, different views and opinions to work together on common goals. This is, I believe, a very exceptional talent that she has, especially during this time when the world feels so separated. She also never gives up. She stays committed to the goal even when she is sick or she is feeling that her ability to complete the task is maybe not meeting her physical strengths. So let me also provide you with a brief information about Svetlana's background education so that you can better understand how she was able to accomplish this all. Svetlana spent her school years in Moscow, where she received a formal music education during her secondary schooling, nurturing her lifelong love in music. She went on then to continue her education at Moscow State University, the #1 university in the former Soviet Union and presently Russia, a common alma mater that we share, so where she studied Western philosophy. After graduation, she went and joined an academic institution, an Institute of Psychology in Moscow, and potentially thought that she will stay as a scientist for the rest of her life. But this was actually a unique time in the history of the Soviet Union when the so-called perestroika was brought into power and the development. And so during the perestroika, Svetlana realized that she has a lot of possibilities and opportunities in front of her. And this is where she started her first business venture. And this was in 1988. 10 years later, she came to Cleveland, where she started her new life and a career in real estate brokerage and investment. In Cleveland, Svetlana played a pivotal role in attracting international investors to Cleveland and promoting the city abroad. She was frequently invited to Russia and Ukraine as a consultant and a speaker in real estate conferences, where she also taught master classes. Her contributions, of course, extended far beyond her professional activity. As I mentioned, she was very active in the Cleveland community as the vice president of the Cleveland Cultural Gardens. But besides that, Svetlana is a passionate entrepreneur and also an investor who actively supports scientific innovation, particularly in the field of the cancer research. And this is where we met 10 years ago when we started a company that uses innovative approaches for cancer treatment. And Svetlana has been supporting our company since then and very much interested in the breakthrough endeavors that she was coming along with the development of the company. So please join me in welcoming Svetlana Stolerova to the inductees today.
Good evening, everyone. I am so deeply honored and, of course, profoundly grateful to stand here tonight. You know the story 7 months ago, just 7 months ago, our dear friend and our angel from the heaven now, Debbie Hansen, called me and asked me a question. Svetlana, what are you doing on April 22nd, 2025? That question opened the door to this very moment. The reality is that at that time, I was battling stage 4 cancer, and I stayed in the hospital. And I was unsure of what tomorrow would bring. That simple question gave me something powerful to hold on to, and that was hope, the hope that brought me here. Throughout my life, I was incredibly fortunate. Honestly, I was fortunate to be accepted to Moscow State University back in 1981. I was fortunate to experience perestroika. I was fortunate to start a business in a change in Russia and to know when it was time to escape. That's what I did back in 1998. And I was fortunate to land in the land. When I first arrived in Cleveland, I saw Tower City's silhouette and felt something strangely familiar. It mirrored the main building of my own university, Moscow State University. Later, I learned that Comrade Stalin himself had been inspired by Cleveland Tower City, and that he actually ordered the design of Moscow State University and other buildings in Moscow designed by the Tower City. That moment told me I was exactly where I was meant to be. Cleveland is my city. Cleveland is called an all-American city, but to me, it is one of the most international places I've ever known. Our cultures build bridges, and nowhere is that more visible than in our Cleveland Cultural Gardens. I am proud and fortunate to be one of 3 co-founders of the Russian Cultural Garden. Dr. Boris Vinogradsky and Sergei Lebed, they are not here tonight. They left the city, but their spirit remains, and they still keep supporting the gardens. Together with our incredible board and volunteers, we built and dedicated the Russian Cultural Gardens in 2018. And Mayor Jackson gave us exemplary, short, and up-to-the-point speech, as he always does when we dedicated the garden. And I'm still learning from Mayor Jackson. I'm sorry, I'm not a good student. I'm talking too much. So. And we created the Walk of Fame of Russian culture. Over 100 figures that are mentioned on the stones. And last Sunday, just 2 days ago, we added more stones to the gardens. Thank you. Thank you, my garden, my volunteers, and the board members. Of course, we brought the bust of Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space, to Cleveland, but we didn't bring it. He just landed here. We got it as a gift to the city. That was amazing. And I think it was a very good start for the sculptures in our garden, and we will finish. We will come on, and we will do it more and more and more sculptures, I promise you. From the time of Nikolai Sokolov talking about sculptures, that this is the one that we are working on now. Nikolai Sokolov was the first conductor and music director of our own Cleveland Orchestra. And of course, we want to bring this sculpture to Cleveland because that's the person who shaped the Cleveland. And not just Nikolai Sokolov, but all today's immigrants. The Russian community actually continues to contribute knowledge, culture, and vision to this society. All our garden volunteers, again, I have no words not enough words to thank you for doing what you are doing. All my friends, thank you so much. I'm also very proud to lead the new endeavor. It's not new, it will be the 6th year this 2025 season. It's the Stars of Summer, International Piano, Vocal, and this year it will be Dance competition that has its final concert during One World Day in our cultural gardens. And I feel very proud that we bring young people from not just local, regional, and from all over the world to Cleveland, introduce Cleveland to this new audience. And it's a great honor to do it. Cleveland gave me a second life. I'm here because of brilliant doctors. Thank you, Dr. Luke. He's here. And I'm here because of international minds and researchers like Professor Kamar's endeavor, Sator Therapeutics, that works on the groundbreaking cancer research. And thanks to researchers like this, and thanks to our beautiful hospitals, we are so fortunate here in Cleveland to have such a care. It gives hope, not just to me, but all people around. I want to mention that not everybody made it. It was supposed to be another person, I think so, who was supposed to be nominated, inducted today. It was Zhanna Magaram from the Russian community. People know her. She lost her battle to cancer, but we know that there is hope, and this hope is for everybody, especially thanks to this city that we live in and that we contribute it. And of course, I want to give my personal and biggest thank you to my family, to my dear husband, Alexander, who always is beside me. And I love you. I love you. I wouldn't be here without you. To my sons, Stepan and Michael. To my mother, that is almost 90 years old, and she's here in Cleveland. She could not make it today, unfortunately. But I thank her for your endless wisdom and love. Tonight, I stand here filled with hope for my own journey and for the future we are all creating together. Because the greatest gift we can offer each other is exactly what I once received: a reason to believe, a reason to heal, and a reason to create. Every immigrant story of courage and contribution deserves to be part of this Hall of Fame. Thank you for incredible honors. Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Ms. Shalyarova, congratulations to you. Our next inductee is the leader of Destination Cleveland and the Greater Cleveland Sports Commission. They just call him the king of the world on Euclid Avenue, David Gilbert. He will be inducted by Joe Superman. Of course, Joe is president and CEO of Global Cleveland. Joe.
Good evening, everyone. And I just want to say a moment of personal privilege to my former colleague, Councilman Zone, who was once a councilman, Frank Jackson, Mayor, Blaine Griffin, and Tony Braccatelli. Whenever we would get a chance to say something that we wanted to make sure we called out. Dan, you said something earlier about wanting to do something for Debbie and for your mom, and you wanted to create some kind of monument. I think that when I look at these pictures for 15 years and the faces in this room, Debbie is alive and with us right now. You have created this, Dan. You are loved. And I say this, and Sister Rita and to the wonderful Imam, our hearts are a little bit heavy tonight because there's been some loss. John Coyne, who was an honoree, I believe in 2013, passed away last week. We lost Debbie, and we lost the Holy Father. But I think that if there's one thing that's true, and if this room tells that story, it's that somewhere in the heavens and the skies, good people are together as they are in this room. The person who I'm going to induct tonight, ironically, has a lot to do with the font on the top of these screens right here. This is Cleveland. If you've seen these fonts, if you've benefited from one of the many, many wonderful groups he's brought in, then tonight the person that you want to thank is none other than Mr. David Gilbert. David is born and bred in this city. He was Cleveland before Cleveland was cool. David is someone who grew up in our community, who knows our community, and who had the chance. He was offered a job by the Rose Bowl and said, "No thanks, I'd rather be here in the land. That's right. And time and again, David did the impossible. He defied the odds. For those of you who saw the article just a few days ago, when he began his job, 34% of our neighbors said, I wouldn't recommend my hometown to anyone. As a result of his labor and his team, that is now 95% of our community would recommend Cleveland to the world. And that doesn't happen by accident. It happens by somebody who is proud of who he is. His absolutely gorgeous and brilliant wife, Faith, is here. They've raised their kids in Solon. They're an amazing Cleveland story. But I want to tell you a personal story. I had the chance to work with David when he brought different events to Cleveland. And one of them was something that nobody thought we would get. And there's something that weaves in some of the inductees tonight. And when we were trying to get the International Gay Games, they had the choice between the city of Boston, the city of Washington, D.C., and little old Cleveland. And Mayor Frank George Jackson, our 56th mayor, said to the visiting delegates, you can go to Boston, you can go to Washington, but nobody's going to love you like Cleveland. And who was responsible for making that happen? David Gilbert. So my daughter, who's a big basketball fan, said, Daddy, can you get tickets to the Woodland Gym? We went to CSU. We saw some great basketball there in the wonderful place of Cleveland State University. And as we were walking out, one of the players saw me and said, excuse me, do you work for the city of Cleveland? And any elected official will know, and our county executive, Chris Ronayne, will know, you don't really want to be asked if you work for a government when somebody's stopping you on the street. And I said, as a matter of fact, I do. She said, I want to tell you something. I'm a lawyer. I studied at Stanford. I live in Oakland, California. My home is in San Francisco. I have never been treated by such respect by police officers as they are in Cleveland. And Calvin Williams, our former chief, is here. And she said, I want to tell you something. When I go back home, I'm going to tell them you have something to learn from this city. I remember when the senior games were here, and somebody stopped me and asked me for directions, and I thought, I'm going to ask them how they're doing. And they said, I want to tell you something. When I was on the RTA bus, somebody asked me where I was from, and they made me feel home. All of that is because of the architecture of one David Gilbert. He's a lot of things. He's a marathon runner. He's a humble guy. He's an awardee of the Richard Adler Community Leadership Community from the Jewish American community, of which David is one of our leaders and a proud member. But when I think about the children's games, the Pan Am games, the senior games, NCAA wrestling, Cleveland basketball, and all the people's lives he's changed by welcoming them here, I want to quote Senator Corker when he came here to the Republican National Convention and welcomed 84 ambassadors, many of you in this room, Ukraine, Russia, Japan, Italy, Slovenia, Croatia, your ambassadors were here. And he said this, thank you, David Gilbert. Thank you, Destination Cleveland, for the broadness of understanding what having people of different backgrounds and origins means to your community. I want to thank all the ambassadors from 85 nations for paying us such a huge honor and being so interested in what is happening. And I want to commit everything in me to all of you that as the serving chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, I'm going to do everything I can as one senator, a senator who was friends with our late George Voinovich, to do what I can to take the example of Cleveland around the country and make sure that we play the rightful role that we need to play in this world the way that you have done. That doesn't happen by accident. A U.S. senator doesn't come to a city of a major Republican convention with more ambassadors than have ever made it if there isn't somebody who's working day and night to make sure that happens. We have a lot of architects in this room. One of them is Mr. Richard Pogue, who's been so responsible for internationalizing our city. Another are people like Joe Marinucci and David Fleshler. But I want to close with somebody who introduced our mayor, and that was Mr. Albert Ratner, whose mother used to say to him before he went to bed every night, they drew a line to keep me out. Heretic, rebel, one to flout. Oh, but love and David Gilbert had the wit to win. We drew a circle and brought them in. Ladies and gentlemen, David Gilbert.
I should have known never to follow Joe Simperman, ever. Thank you, Joe. That was beautiful, and thank you to my fellow honorees, and thank you, Dan, and to Debbie, may her memory be a blessing. I don't like getting awards very much, but this one, when Dan called, was very personal. And as Joe said, I've spent so much of my career trying to bring people to Cleveland, and thank you so much to our team that shares this passion with me. Bringing in international groups here, it truly has been a passion. And it goes back, starting in 2000, just after the Sports Commission started, we have been in existence for 6 months. There were 3 of us at the time, little organization. We read an article about an event called the International Children's Games, and it happened to be taking place in Hamilton, Ontario. It had been around for about 25 years, sort of the world's youth Olympics. It had never taken place in North America, and we ended up putting a team together to participate, a baseball team, and that allowed us to bid to try and bring that event to Cleveland. Really didn't know what it would take. Mayor Mike White at the time did a video for us, and we put our best foot forward. We met with the committee, and I think thankfully they really wanted to come to the U.S., and they said before we left, we're coming to Cleveland in 2024. And I remember on the drive back, Rob Marin, two-thirds of our staff in the car, looked at each other and said, excuse my language, what the hell did we just get ourselves into? And not long after that, I walked into the office of Alex Machaski. And he said, let's do this. He got it immediately. And honestly, Alex, because of you, it was successful. And so many of the people in this room, it's so cool being here and just seeing Ingrid Bublis and Jim Creation and August Poos, so many others that are here that helped put this together. And learned so much. I have to say what I learned from Alex a lot was drinking Slivovitz in late at night in Patras, Greece. And thank you for that as well. But I will tell you that we ended up with the help of so many people on this screen, so many people in this room who jumped in, people I didn't know, said, we're going to make this great. And because of those efforts, we had what is still the largest games in the 50-plus year history. We had 123 cities from 50-plus countries here, 3,000 athletes, several thousand other people from around the world, and it still is widely considered probably the best they've ever had, and still talked about as a seminal moment for that worldwide event. And it's because of this community, because we embrace them unlike any other. And I was fortunate enough for the next almost 2 decades to be on that board and executive committee representing our great city. We still take teams every year to participate and take part in that. And I think that event, people ask me, oh, you've had all these events that have come to town. What means the most? That's the one. Because that's what taught me that bringing all these people to town was not just about the dollars they spend. It's about a chance for people to fall in love with our city, and that's what happens. And that's because of the people in this room, and you heard every one of these speakers talk about it. So many other major international events followed. Joe mentioned the Gay Games, the Pan Am Masters Games just here the last summer, first time ever in the United States. And every time, this is no joke, they walk away saying there is something special about this city that we don't feel anywhere else. And every time these meetings, conventions, major events come to Cleveland, it doesn't happen by accident. We're in a competition with cities from around the country, around the world. And I think they see our passion and why we want to have them here. But what's amazing is that we chose to go after them, but almost to a person, to an organizing committee, to an event, they walk away feeling something incredibly, incredibly special about this community. It's just who we are. I just feel like what we have here, we embrace, we appreciate, we celebrate, and it's something that makes this community very different, very unique from other places around the world. I want to thank all of you for making this city so special. Thank you to my beautiful wife who was mentioned for supporting everything I do. I get a ride home now. And no, she is my best friend. And just thank you for thinking of me for this, and thank you for this beautiful community. Thank you.
David, congratulations. Can we please get a round of applause for all of our inductees this evening? I want to thank everyone for coming out for this very special occasion. Before we go tonight, Mr. Dan Hansen, before we do anything else, I know we've honored Dan and Debbie and his mom several times tonight, but I really do think we should give them another round of applause for everything that the Hansens have done over the years. Dan is here with a few words and a toast.
Thank you all so much. Thank you. I got to thank Russ. Russ makes it special. Doesn't he? He makes it special. We'll see him in the news tonight, but it's so special having you here, Russ, and we appreciate it. I want to thank quickly the sponsors. Ambassador Crawford, Albert Naudry Ratner, Alex Machaski, Cleveland Council on World Affairs, Cleveland Cultural Gardens Federation, Cleveland School of Rhythmic Arts, Global Cleveland, IdeaStream Public Media, Japanese American Citizens League Cleveland Chapter, Margaret W. Wong and Associates, and Richard W. Pogue. So what we do, before you disperse, we ask the inductees to come up, we take a class photo. As you can see from the book or the slideshow, the class photo is very important. So everyone's gonna want to talk to you and all, but we'll set up a few chairs here and get those official photos. The other thing you could start nominating people for 2026 right now, but the other thing, we always have a toast, and we have got a lot of different languages here. So I'm going to say slancha, but you may say nazdravya or whatever. So what we're going to do, raise a glass, and we're going to toast to Raj and David and Mayor Frank and Beverly and Branka and Svetlana. So slancha. See, that's Cleveland right there. You got to love that. Thanks all for coming. Congratulations. What a great class. What a great room. We'll see you next year.